Hey, this is Camille and Karen, and today we wanted to talk to you about why is now the right time to buy. So there's one thing that's very obvious compared to the market last year, the last few years, is that there are less buyers out there, so you have less competition.
Basically, the increase in the interest rate has gotten some people concerned, so they're sitting on the sidelines. But that's created the perfect opportunity for you to go out and find the home you want, probably at a much better price than it was a year ago, which offsets some of that increase in rate. Eventually, those rates will fall, giving you an opportunity to refinance and better the situation that you start with.
Yeah, and I know some people are even afraid to buy now because they don't know which way the rates are going to go. They may adjust. We don't know exactly when that's going to be. The reality is they could get worse before they get better, so at least you'd be locking in at a lower rate today than maybe in the coming months.
Right, so this is always going to be your worst case scenario if you look at it like that. It can only get better. So as long as you can afford the home you're buying now, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The other way to look at it is that if you're renting, rent is 100% interest. You are completely at the mercy of your landlord. If you're renting, it gives you a lot of limitations, even about what you can do with your home, right? You want to paint that wall pink, not going to happen. The other thing, you're subject to rent increases. You're subject to the seller coming in and say, I'm selling my property. Maybe they want to move in a relative or they want to move into their home. And when you go out to try to find something to rent, you're going to realize that today's rent is probably pretty close to a house payment.
Yeah, and that's, really, you're paying somebody else's mortgage for them by being a renter. So why not pay your own mortgage?
Right.
So another thing is people have this misnomer that they have to have all this wealth in order to buy. But the reality is, wealth is created by buying real estate. You buy the real estate, own that, and then that creates wealth over time.
And the other thing is that a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines waiting for a market crash. They're thinking that all these people who bought in the last 2 to 3 years and paid probably $100,000 over asking price are all in danger of losing their homes. There's no expectation of a market crash. You have to remember that those people may have paid a lot of money for those homes, but they did it at a very low interest rate. So barring any catastrophic personal incident in their own life, they can still afford that house. So this is not like the crash of 2008, where everybody's loans were adjusting and making their homes unaffordable for them. This is a completely different scenario.
Well, another thing to that point is, we haven't really seen a pricing correction at all here. We don't know if and when that's going to happen. One thing we do know is that we do see a cycle in California real estate. So if there is a decline, the next increase actually peaks higher than the previous. And we've seen that. My 30 years, I think I've seen it at least 4 times.
Yeah.
So,
and I've experienced it personally myself. From where we bought, our house almost doubled in value within 2 years. Then it dropped to slightly higher than the original price that I paid in 2003. And now it's at a price that I almost couldn't afford to buy it at if I wanted to now. So it was definitely worth that risk. I remember when I purchased a house in 2003 for $500,000, I laid awake for 3 nights saying, how am I ever going to afford this? But obviously it's one of the best decisions, aside from marrying my husband, that I've ever made. So, I would hope to get that point across to you, that this is not an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah, and that's why we're here to help you figure out your path to that home ownership.